Hi there, I'm John Arcadian and Gnome Stew, and this is a video Gnoment. I've been doing a series of articles all about the physical space of the game, the psychology of it, what it means to you and your players, and how to use that to engage them into your game. Now, I wanted to do this one on being epic, and that took a little more than an article full of words, so you get a video Gnoment. Now, what exactly is epic? Epic is when you take any element of your game and just expand it out to the extremes. You take something, anything, and blow it up. There are a lot of different ways you can do that. And whatever way you do that, so long as you take it and make it something way more than what you usually do, you will get response from your players. Now, one of the ways that I like to do that is by changing the movement paradigm of the game. This here is a model of Phsyical, the City of Towers, that I used in a Neverrun game that I ran. In this scenario, the players had to recapture a wyvern that had escaped from a cell. The wyvern, of course, had full movement range because he was able to fly from place to place. The players had to move along these small bridges, get from one to the other, and think in all sorts of different ways just to keep up with this wyvern. It made for a really great and interesting play experience, and the players had to engage a completely different part of their brains than they normally do when they play on a solid, flat, two-dimensional map. Now, one of the important things with using a set like this that changes the movement paradigm is to encourage your players to do epic things with it. When I presented this to my players, I said, yes, there are going to be penalties for falling, but they're not going to be death. So they knew that they could actually move around from place to place, jump off of bridges, make a roll, and hope they landed. That really encouraged them to do something epic and really changed the way they thought about the game. Now, changing the movement paradigm to something more 3D like this isn't the only way you can go epic. Another way you can do it is by going big. This is Coliseum. It's the location of a fighters tournament that my players were supposed to participate in, and they had a long journey to get here. Once they arrived and I built this set on the table in front of them, they went gaga. Merely seeing this giant thing and knowing they could interact with it just completely ramped up what they wanted to do. Even though I didn't expect any change in the movement paradigm or encourage them to do anything different with it, they were trying to climb the walls, grapple from place to place. They were moving enemies from one section to another just so they could engage it. And that's what happens when you put anything big in front of them. It engages that part of the mind that wants to meet up to it. Seeing something this big, they wanted to do something as big with their own actions. Now, there's some things in role-playing games that just demand to be done in an awesome way. For example, airship combat. You can do it on a flat map with models, but when you take it to a completely different level, it makes it something off the wall incredible. This is the Assault on the Merciless. The Merciless is a goblin airship that the players had to take out before they could proceed along in their quest. I brought this model to the game one week, dropped it down at the very end, and said, this is what you're going to be taking on, and this is what you see in the distance. They spent the whole next week planning this assault on the airship and came up with a million different ideas, which we tried to incorporate into this final battle. It made one of the most epic combats I have ever seen anywhere. The group hired griffins, attacked it from the side, fired on it with their cannons, jumped on board the ship, tried to take out the captain. Anything and anything they could possibly think of, because this was there in front of them and they wanted to interact with it. Whenever you put something epic like this into your players' physical space, they can't help but want to do something with it. One of the things that we as gamers have on our side is scale. Miniatures are at such a small size that there are many, many implements from other elements of life that can be brought in to be used as epic, awesome elements in our games. Old toys, gardening implements, and statues, almost anything can be brought in and made giant to our miniatures and create an epic feeling. As we've seen, there are many ways to make the physical space of the game awesome, and it's not that expensive either. The Merciless is just cardboard with duct tape and lots of black spray paint. Shard, the City of Towers, is any tower-like element I could find in my house, covered in a stone pattern that I printed off of my computer. Coliseum took a little bit more time, but it's certainly not going to win any beauty contests. And the small set that we built at the very end took about 3 minutes worth of work with whatever we could find in the garage. If you really want to engage your players into your game, do something epic with it. Take the physical space and put something incredible there that they can't help but interact with. In fact, I'm sure you've already done this with your games. So drop some love in the comments and tell us about the most epic thing you've done with the physical space of your game. I'm John Arcadian, happy gaming.
Always gonna read Gnome Stew, lots of good advice for you. Almost every day of the week, it's all true. Players gone and made you cry. Props from that Star Trek guy. Game theory you can apply to help you. We have been running for so long. We've had our problems, but we cringe to admit it. But now we know that we are not alone. Let's share our problem and how we beat it. And if you just can't grok the lingo, check the Gnome glossary. Always gonna read Gnome Stew, lots of good advice.